On today's video, I'm going to introduce you to one of the biggest projects right now, the restoration of the Sikorsky S-58. At the time, we wanted to have an aircraft, a helicopter comparable to our iconic DC-6. So we wanted to have like a Air Force One for the Flying Bulls on the helicopter side. And the moment we had the chance to get hands on the Sikorsky S-58, we knew that that's the aircraft we needed. Yeah, in the end, we found this aircraft in Germany. The company Meravo and especially Mr. Hauber were in possession of this Sikorsky. They operated it for more than 40 years, and after having some talks with him about what our plan is to restore it, to keep it airworthy for the next generations to come, he was super happy to give us this aircraft. Picking it up in Germany was a whole different story. You can imagine you're coming to the hangar. The aircraft is standing there since many years. Of course, our technical crew came in almost 1 week before to check everything, to do some ground runs, to get an overview of the shape of the aircraft. In the end, when we came in, me and Blackie got his first training flights with Mr. Hauber to get used to this aircraft. And yeah, we ferried the aircraft to Salzburg. The weather was kind of bad. We had some challenges, but as formation we managed to come to Salzburg. Can imagine flying next to this aircraft is such an impressive helicopter. When it's flying next to you, the shape, the size. I'm really looking forward then to see it in Flying Bull's livery and to fly it by myself. This specific aircraft, built in 1956, was first put into service in 1958 as November 869 for Chicago Airways helicopters, and it was used to bring people from the airport to the city. Later on in 1963, the aircraft was first leased and thereafter sold to Sabena. Sabena is a Belgian airline, and they used this aircraft first for postal transportation. Quite an iconic way of delivering mail, I would say. And afterwards they were using it for passenger transportation in between Brussels, Eindhoven and Rotterdam, but also some places in France, Netherlands and even Germany. Unfortunately, a few years later, Sabena got into financial troubles, so they decided to stop the whole helicopter operation, and they parked the aircraft until '67, where the Belgian Air Force took it over and used it as a VIP transportation helicopter for the Air Force. 1975. In the end, it stopped operation by the Air Force, and it was parked in a long-time storage, where years later the German company Meravo in 1978 took it over, and together with a few other Sikorsky S-58s, they used it for cargo flights and for passenger transportation. First it was painted in Meravo company colors. Later on they painted it with fake German military hair markings for the movie Die Sturmflut. So when we ferried it to Salzburg, it had like this military painting, but actually it's a civil aircraft. In the end we decided to get this aircraft back to the original registration. So it started with November 869, and it will be flying with November 869 Romeo Bravo, standing for, you know, what it is in the future. Yeah, but before dreaming of flying this beautiful machine, there is plenty of work to do, and I will hand over to Stefan, who is the leading technician on this restoration.
When the helicopter arrived here in Salzburg, we found it in a used condition, like the spare main gearbox. And one of the first tasks was to do a power check, to check the engine for condition. We hovered some minutes with 12 passengers inside. Next step was to disassemble the aircraft, and we started sandblasting of the whole fuselage, the tail boom, the tail pylon, to check for condition, to check for corrosion, to check for cracks, for possible damages. The part before restoration, dirty, damaged, cracked. We clean them, repair them as required, putting them back into serviceable condition. Like this, the same part afterwards. We will do that with every part of the helicopter, and then we will end up with a brand new machine. A lot of parts from the helicopter were built out of magnesium. They used it back in the days to save empty weight. It was a good idea 70 years ago. Over the time, magnesium is not that good for corrosion. As you see on this drawing, a lot of parts are made out of magnesium, all the yellow parts. Especially with the tail cone or the tail pylon, we have to rebuild it more or less from zero. Due all the findings from corrosion, we decided to replace nearly all parts out of magnesium with aluminum parts. As magnesium is much lighter than aluminum, the empty weight from the helicopter will increase, and the next step was the decision to change from 12-seat configuration to 8-seat configuration. The S58 engine is a right cyclone engine, and we are very familiar with this engine because the T-28 has the more or less same engine installed, and the guys from Vintage B Team helps us out with their knowledge, and we're very happy to share all the knowledges within the company. After fixing all the problems with the corrosion of the magnesium parts, we slowly start to assemble the helicopter piece by piece. One of the first steps was installing the vent lines from the fuel tank system. As you can see, there's still a lot of work to do, so stick around for part 2 and don't forget to tell us what you want to see next. Bye for now.